Code of Conduct in Veterinary Practice. Our resource person is Professor Sampath Lokugalapati, President, Veterinary Council of Sri Lanka. To warmly welcome, and also I warmly welcome our moderator, Dr. Sunil Disnagar, Vice President of Sri Lanka Veterinary Association. And I warmly welcome all the participants from SLVA members and the student from the faculty. All are welcome to SLVA webinar series once again. This webinar is live streaming, so you can watch this later on SLVA YouTube channel as well. Thank you. Dr. Disnagar, over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sugat Premachandra, the President, Sri Lanka Veterinary Association. The Vet Connect webinar series today organizing a timely, important webinar on Code of Conduct in Veterinary Practice, Law, Ethics, and Professional Responsibility. This is a timely topic the SLV has chosen to deliver this webinar to the veterinarians in Sri Lanka. As we all know that there are 4 important acts for the veterinarians. One is the Veterinary Surgeons and Practitioners Act, number 46 of 1956. And there are 3 other important acts, namely Animal Act, Animal Diseases Act, and Animal Feed Act. Out of these 4, the most important one for today's webinar, which is the Veterinary Surgeons and Practitioners Act number 46 of 1956. The Veterinary Council of Sri Lanka was established under this act, and there are regulations gazetted under the act which are important for regulation of the veterinary practice in Sri Lanka. As members of the Veterinary Council, we, including the President of Veterinary Council, we have witnessed number of occasions, number of incidences which have come across, incidences which are because of unaware of the regulations sometimes, which is very important, and all members, all veterinarians should know and should be thorough of. So the resource person who was invited today is Professor Sampath Lokugalapati, the President of Veterinary Council of Sri Lanka. The President, Professor Lokugalapati, is a highly respected veterinary academic researcher and professional leader with more than 25 years of experience in undergraduate teaching, decades of postgraduate teaching and research simulation. He is presently a professor in Department of Basic Veterinary Sciences of the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine and Animal Science, University of Kerala. He graduated in 2001. Subsequently, he obtained master's degree in Fish and Wildlife Management and Conservation. He earned his PhD in evolutionary techniques from He has carried out research collaborations and trainings renowned institutions, including Biological Laboratory in the United States, University of Saskatchewan in Canada, the Chinese Academy of Agricultural Sciences and Animal Production, the Chinese Academy of Agricultural Sciences and Animal Production, and Health Laboratory in Austria, and so on. In addition to serving as President of the Council of Sri Lanka, he holds several important national and professional responsibilities as well. He is the President-elect of the Sri Lanka College of Presidents, a Fellow of the College, the National Livestock Breeding Committee, a member of the national focal point for South Asian veterinary education establishments and veterinary statutory body network. Throughout his career, Professor Lokkalapati has held numerous leadership positions, including the University of Peradeniya and Royal Commission, including Department of Basic Veterinary Sciences, Vice President and General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Medical Association, and Chair of several scientific and professional committees. He has tutored and contributed for more than 45 research publications as have been his research publications, including about 20 papers published in international peer-reviewed journals. His research profile, having achieved 7 items.
Okay, this is echo is coming from your side.
Yeah, I think it's from my end, someone has mic on. Can the host switch off those mic?
It's okay, continue.
ഡിസ്പ്ലേ മുഖത്ത് ശബ്ദമൊക്കെ വരുന്നേ
Oi, Kauru, mic on ka matiya pare. Boy ka ken. Speaker and karana.
phone mic
Not mine. Okay. Still the echo is there.
Yes, but it's continue.
Shall we continue?
Yes, continue.
Yeah, still voice there.
Okay, then his contribution to the development can be seen when we look at his contribution to many international policy making events, curriculum development, capacity initiatives. He has organized or contributed for a large number of curriculum and professional development programs for hundreds of Sri Lankan young people. Considering his extensive academic background, contributed for nurturing and grooming thousands of experience for this country, professional leadership and direct involvement in military regulation, professional development. Professor Lokkalapati is more than qualified to talk from the Code of Conduct, professional ethics, veterinary laws, and professional responsibilities of veterinarians. While appreciating Professor Lokkalapati for accepting this invitation done by the President of SLVA to conduct today's webinar, I warmly welcome Professor Sampath Lokkalapati and invite him to deliver today's presentation. Dr. Lokkalapati, over to you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Disnaka. Good evening, colleagues. And also let me thank the President of Sri Lanka Veterinary Association and the Executive Committee for inviting me to speak on this very important and timely topic, the Code of Conduct in Veterinary Practice, Law, Ethics and Professional Responsibility. Actually, it's a privilege to speak you today on this topic that lies at the very heart of our profession, the Code of Conduct in Practice, the law, ethics, and the responsibility. As we all agree and we know, veterinary medicine is not just a science. Right? It's a profession built on trust, compassion, and accountability. The word accountability carries a lot of weight here. Tonight, I will explore with you all how these laws governing this practice, ethical principles, ethics, and professional responsibility form the three pillars of veterinary professionalism in Sri Lanka. So thank you again for inviting me for this. So to begin with, the profession is, as we all know, the profession is more than the job. It's a disciplined group of individuals who uphold ethical standards and are recognized by the society for their specialized knowledge. This is what the professionals mean. We are considered as veterinary professionals in Sri Lanka. The professionalism is expressed through our behaviors, our attitudes, and our skills, and it reinforces the social contract between us and the general public. So, as professionals, we have a social contract with the general public. So we have to keep that in our mind. So the professionalism is just a set of behaviors, attitude, and skills, and that lead to a social contract between veterinarians, that is us, and the public. So for us, for veterinarians, veterinary professionals, these three words, the define this contract. The three words, the key words of today's topic, the law, ethics, and responsibility define that contract we as professionals have with the society, have with our community. So in this context, the law refers to the body of legislations, regulations, and the professional codes that governs the practice of veterinary medicine in this country. And when we say talk about the ethics, it's a set of moral principles guiding practitioners. So these ethics and morals are basically referring to the same thing coming from different origins to English. So when we talk about the professional responsibility, we are responsible to our patients, the animals, our client, ourselves, and our colleagues, and the profession as a whole, as well as the society at large. So we are responsible for all these stakeholders, okay, to our patients, to our clients, to ourselves, our colleagues, as well as to the profession, as individuals, as well as a group of experts, specialized group of intellectuals. Okay? So these three are the guiding principles that ensures we serve our animals, the patients, our clients, colleagues, and the society with integrity. So I repeat this word accountability, which is very, very important. So let me, as Dr. Disney, at his during his introduction very correctly said, the primary law governing the veterinary practice in this country is Veterinary Surgeons and Practitioners Act, which was enacted in 1956. And this act actually established the Veterinary Council of Sri Lanka. So the statutory body to govern the veterinary practice of veterinary medicine and surgery in Sri Lanka. So if I very briefly give an overview, and you can visit our website and find out the information about the Vet Council, that is the statutory body. And the primary function is to regulate the practice of veterinary medicine and surgery in Sri Lanka. And then thereby to ensure high standard of competence is prevail among the veterinary surgeons, thereby protecting the interest of the animals and the community that we serve. That is the main function of the Veterinary Council of Sri Lanka. And if you look at the structure of the council actually consists of 10 members. 8 of them are elected every 4 years. And there are 2 ex officio members, the Director General of the Department of Animal Production and Health, and the Dean of the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine and Animal Science are the 2 ex officio members. Altogether, the council consists of 10 members, of which 8 are elected. And this election is happening in 2 stages to maintain the continuity of the council members. So 6 are elected at once and 2 are elected subsequently. So that's how it is. It has been happening. And among those 10 elected members, 1 member is selected as the president to serve in the council. So president's term is 1 year, subjected to renewal. So that is the current status. The council can appoint a registrar, and council does have a registrar. Registrar is basically the custodian of all the properties of the council. And also support staff can be appointed depending on the availability of the funds. So that is the basic idea about the council. Currently, we are housed at along the old Kala Road next to the government veterinary hospital in the building that is currently housing these publications uh, of the Department of Animal Production and Health. And you can visit our website. You are welcome to visit our website through this link and find out more information about the Veterinary Council. Now, back to today's topic. So, we are talking about the Code of Conduct. So, this is a document. It's a formal set of rules and guidelines. This actually first published in 2001, and then it was edited. Second edition came in 2023, and the most recent third edition is now available on the website. That is came in 2025. So this document is available. I'll be talking about some important aspects that are included in this document today. So as I told you earlier, the Code of Conduct is a formal set of rules and guidelines. And the main purpose of this document is to update the standard of registered veterinarians and to ensure their accountability. And this is the main purpose, very important. So the council, by frequently updating this code of conduct to meet the new needs, new requirements, new developments of the profession in par with the international standards. So we update this to keep our professionals, veterinarians, registered veterinarians, to update them on these standards. Okay? And also, according to the Act, a non-compliance of these standards may lead to the disciplinary actions by the Veterinary Council of Sri Lanka. So that is what is this Act has empowered the council. And that's one of the empowerment, but there are many other things. There are 41 different subsections in the Act. So I'll talk about it briefly. And if you look at this document is actually built on 5 fundamental principles. This document is built on 5 fundamental principles. So the first one being the professional competence. The second one is honesty and integrity, which are very, very important words for professionals. And independence and impartiality. Client confidentiality, the trust that we build with them, and professional accountability. And this accountability is something that you cannot delegate. Responsibility is something that we can delegate, but professional accountability we cannot delegate to anybody else. So we are responsible, we are accountable for our judgment, our actions, our interventions. We should be able to justify why we intervene in that particular way on a patient. So let's talk about this code of conduct structure. If you look at this document, it is actually organized in 3 main subsections. So first one talk about the general code of conduct, where we talk about acts, we talk about the obligation of the veterinary surgeons, we talk about what is infamous conduct, we talk about the services and care that need to be provided, we talk about the registration of practice premises, very important, and we talk about advertising, canvassing, signboards, nameplates, how do we advertise ourselves, and also how to maintain professional stationery if it is required, and as a noble professionals of this noble profession, we all are entitled to use the prefix doctor. And then also there are some responsibilities as a registered or licensed veterinarians. If there's any change in your address or contact details, you need to inform the council. Okay? And also, how do we behave or how do we deal with different media broadcasting, particularly in an era of AI and social media dominance? So how do we deal with them? And probably the next revision will talk about a more emphasis on this how to deal with AI and as well as the social media activities, and then how to provide testimonials and scientific articles. So I'll talk about this later on very briefly. The second section basically is one of the important thing, how the relationship among the veterinarians. So in the recent past, we have received several complaints where veterinary surgeons complaining about another veterinary surgeon's misconduct. So there are miscommunications, misunderstandings. There are other factors, maybe competition. There are a lot of things. So there should be a collegial relationship. So that's very important. So there's an obligation of veterinary surgeons to one another. How do we do consultation? Our referrals is done in a proper way. How do we seek a second opinion? And we also talk about fees, but not in great detail, and how to resolve disputes. And dispute is increasing among the vet surgeons, and maintenance of records, very important, and how to report a malpractice, because if you detect any malpractice, so you need to report to the council, and council will take the necessary action. And it's not nice for us to talk about the malpractices with the clients of your own one of your colleagues, maybe a competitor, but probably it is not ethical. And the importance of the CPD, and then what can influence on the judgments, particularly terminal ill animals, how we can deal with. And also things like how to deal with these genetic defects. And are we going to perform surgery and make them appear normal? No, we should not do that. Right? So if there's a genetic defect, we should make them sterile. We should not let them breed and convey these defects to the next generation. So these kind of things, relationship among the veterinarians. So the final section talk about the law and the veterinary surgeons. So where we talk about the drugs, dispensing, prescribing drugs, we put emphasis on our animal welfare, we talk about our ethical responsibilities, how to maintain confidentiality and the disclosure of information, and how to maintain the media communication and retention of records, the hospital records, patient records, very important. So when we do inquiries in the council, we found that some of the clinics actually do not maintain these records. We recommend at least 3 to 5 years of retention of records, if more, the better. And how do we issue certificates in case of requirement, and how do we provide evidence, maybe in case of a court or something. So this is the basically organized structure of the code of conduct document. So which is very important, and a copy of this document should be in possession of all the veterinary surgeons registered in this country. And we expect the council expect you to uphold this code of conduct, and any breach of this can be constituted infamous conduct. So let's begin with the content here, but I'm not going to go in the same order because it's a very long document. I will highlight these important things, and then subsequently I'll talk to you some of the complaints that we have received and their relevance to this code of conduct. Okay. So as Dr. Disnaka at the beginning very correctly said, that this is the primary legal instrument that our practice is governed in this country. Okay. Veterinary Surgeons and Practitioners Act of 1956. So this act was amended 3 times subsequently in 64, 75, and 1994. So you see 1994 to 2026, there's no revision, and there's a dire need of revising this act, or probably repeating and introducing a new act to meet the today's challenging uh, uh, needs of our profession. And under this act, there are 5 regulations that has been gazetted, and the most recent one being the infamous conduct that was gazetted at the beginning of this year. And these gazette notifications are basically regulations about how to conduct the elections to elect members to the council, and how to administer the internship program for the veterinary graduates, and then the most recent one being the infamous conduct, and the disciplinary process, what constitutes the basically definition of the infamous conduct. We have broad meat, and we elaborate the disciplinary process and the actions that can be taken, and even the complaining, how to complain. So if you look at this legal instrument, the Act, which has 41 sections, subsections of process, so they include various things, including registration, licensing, disciplinary procedures, and what veterinary surgeons can do, what non-vets can do, and what is infamous conduct, and what kind of fines can be given to the persons who do illegal veterinary practice, and what constitute illegal practice. So there are things, but the some sections are there, but for most of the, and also about the veterinary education. So there are some provisions, but when you try to develop regulations under these sections, the council, not the current council, but the previous councils have encountered some legal challenges from the legal draftment, saying that the act does not specifically say that this we cannot do. So we are in that kind of a situation with respect to this. But I'm not going to go into detail of these different subsection of the acts, and then you can visit it, and it's available on the web. It's available in the council website. So that is the 1994 Act number 3, the latest amended act, is available on the council website. It's available on the DAPH website, and maybe in the SLVA website as well. So this is the primary act that govern or that regulate veterinary practice of veterinary medicine and surgery in Sri Lanka. So if anyone want to practice veterinary medicine in Sri Lanka and surgery in Sri Lanka, they should be registered under this act in the council. So anybody who practice it's become illegal practice. So whether it is a veterinary graduate without licensing, that's again a violation of this act. So as Dr. Disnagar said, there are 3 other acts that are important, but I'm not going to talk about in detail. But so these are Animal Act, then you have Animal Disease Act, so then you have Animal Feed Act, then we have very, very old legal documents, Rabies Ordinance, Dog Registration Ordinance, and Butcher's Ordinance. So these are also related to our practice in regulatory affairs. But I understand that Rabies Ordinance and the Dog Registration Ordinance are going to be repealed and introduce a new act, combined act, or there's a bill to be presented, or has already been presented to Parliament. And also we have some other, depending on the subsector or industry that we are catering, we are working with. So there are some other acts. Food Act, again related to our practice. Flora and Fauna Protection Ordinance, again related to our practice. And Agrarian Development Act basically talk about the pasture and fodder development, and the Land Development Act ordinance again talk about how the barren lands can be utilized for agriculture purpose, including the livestock. So these are some of the acts. But depending on the industry that we are working with, our practice, we should be aware about the other related acts as well. If you are involved in import and exports of veterinary products or something, you need to be familiar with the customs ordinance and customs. Likewise, there are, and also, and now with this Right to Information Act, very often we get a request to provide some information. So be aware. So maintaining record would be very, very essential under this Right to Information Act as well. Okay, so the 2 new developments, this animal welfare bill, which was much waited for quite a long time, now it is in the under discussion in the cabinet. So the bill is there. So the second one is the combined bill on this rabies elimination and registration of dogs. So the council thinks our primary legal instrument is outdated, and I think most of you will agree with us, because this is not meeting the current today's requirement. So we need to repeal this. And introduce a new act to incorporate the new development in the profession. So that is the status of council with respect to the legal documents. So let me very briefly talk about the obligations and infamous conducts. Basically, as professionals, we are held, we are expected to be held a higher ethical standards compared to the ordinary citizen or general public. So we have a duty to advise, treat animals, and if we are unable, to refer it to a colleague, a reference. So that's our obligation. Okay? That's our obligation. So general public expect high ethical standards from professionals like veterinarians, higher ethical standards compared to the general public. And therefore, we have a duty to advise and treat animals we do not refuse treating. And if we cannot, due to some reason, we should refer them. Or we should consult a colleague who can do this. So that's an important thing that we need to remember when it comes to our obligations to the publics. We have a duty to advise. And the next thing is this infamous conduct. That's a very, very important word. It's defined under the subsection 25 of the Act. Basically, it's a disgraceful behavior. So with the recent Gazette notification, we actually brought the definition, the council brought the definition, and it is available in the web, again in the council website. You can download this one. So basically now it encompasses substandard care, medical negligence, discrediting the profession, even improper instructions, and actions that can cause unnecessary pain to the patient and delay in animal treatments. They are all now included in the infamous conduct definition. And also, so therefore, now this is public document, it's available. So there will be more cases against veterinary surgeons who are not adhering to the code of conduct published by the Veterinary Council of Sri Lanka. And this same Gazette notification also talk about the complaint process and how to conduct an inquiry, the panel of inquiry members, then inquiry procedure, and disciplinary measures that can be taken, and how to recover the cost of those. So be aware about this. We have obligation, and we should not get involved in this infamous conduct. And then I thought of many different subheadings. I talk about the veterinary service and care. That's important. So as I told you earlier, we are personally accountable for our practice, our professional practice. And we have to talk about, or we should stick to humane restraint and handling. And later I will show you there are some cases where the complaint came about not properly handling the patient. That's also very, very. So you have to have facilities. You have to handle each and every patient with the best proper facilities you can provide and with the best available care. And the other thing is we must provide the different treatment options. You should talk about the diagnosis, you should talk about the treatment options, and you have to obtain informed consent. You have to talk about the progress, the prognosis of the animal. You have to make the client aware about the patient's condition. Concealing them, providing misinformation can actually, it's amount to the violation of this code of conduct. You please provide the diagnosis information, very clearly tell them these different treatment options available they can resort. Maybe they might not be having a lot of money, but there may be different options available, so you can propose. And then obtain informed consents about any intervention that you want to. So these are all important. And also you have to emphasize about the preventive medicine and how to manage the patient. That's also one of the very, very important that we expect under the service and care of the veterinarians. And also we have to talk about the pain management. So there were complaints in the recent years, I think, about the poor pain managements the patient was suffering. Yeah, so the clients are educated and they are well conversant about the behavior of their own pets, and they can even detect the pain they are suffering from. So adequate or the correct assessment of pain and an action need to relieve the pain. And sometimes in cases when euthanasia is there, how do we handle euthanasia? If you go to the end of this code of conduct document, so there is an annexure number 2 which talk about the euthanasia. So I welcome you to refer to this last annexure in the code of conduct document and what the council think about the uh, euthanasia. Okay. And also talk about this proper use of pharmaceuticals, and particularly those anesthetics that can be abused, the controlled substances. Once they are in our custody, how do we handle them? How do we prescribe them? They are all very, very important. Even biologicals. Uh, we may be having them, but if you don't maintain the cold chain, so that's you're not doing your job correct. Okay? And above all of these, animal welfare is not negotiable. That's very, very important. We do everything to ensure the welfare of the animal. So all the code of conduct covers all of these. And also consulting. Seek advices from colleagues, the suitably qualified colleagues if you are not capable of something. You can do that. So think about the services and care you provided. We know some of the practices are well advanced, some are just beginning with modest facilities, some might not have adequate facilities, but maybe you can seek advice. Think about that aspects. Okay. And then I would like to talk about this professional practice. There are sections on the code of conduct document. And one of the important thing we expect, your practices, your hospitals, your clinics, animal treatment facilities, they are supposed to be registered at the under the Animal Disease Act. So this is not done by the council, but this is done by the DAPH. So I think every council expect every clinic, every practice to be registered under the DAPH, Animal Disease Act. This is an important thing because some of the questions we received under the Right to Information Act is whether it is a registered practice. So now that will become a problem. So you have to have your registration maybe in the local government. Maybe if it is a hospital with a lot of staff, maybe you might be having a business registration in the as a company. And also, even if you don't have those two, you have to have the registration with the DAPH. But there may be some delays, there may be some issues with the registration process. I believe that the VRA division of the DAPH will start registration process soon. So that's an important aspect. And also we talk about how to advertise, how to do canvassing, the signboards, the nameplates, professional stationaries, and very recently, I think 1 year ago, we got a complaint. A recently graduated vet started a clinic displaying this veterinary surgeon's photographs, one life-size big photograph in the signboard. So the council doesn't expect these kind of things. So they should be informative. Your names, registration number, contact times, available times, consultation time, duration, alternative contact numbers. This is what we expect. So, and there should be only single board, the signboard. But we see sometimes there are many signs, so which is probably not accepted. So we might reconsider, given the business ethics. We should not mix up with the business ethics and the professional ethics. So when it comes to the veterinary business, uh, we will look at it in. But according to the current code of conduct, these are prohibited. So there are certain limits. You can do this subjected to those limits within these limits. Even the nameplate, there are specific dimensions that is there. So you should not have bigger nameplates of the veterinary surgeon. So they are small size. So even the professional stationery, what should carry in their names, registration number, likewise. So these instructions are given under the Act, and you are free to use the prefix doctor. And media, particularly this nowadays, this media is becoming a serious issue. And the contributions are allowed, but the code of conduct does not tolerate or promote any media activities done for self-promotional activities. It is for the betterment of the society, general public. If it is for the public interest, you're doing something, that's no problem. But self-promotional activities are not encouraged by the code of conduct. Remember that. And again, this one, again, when it comes to veterinary businesses, this is a little controversial one. No testimonial for commercial products, so that we do not expect. But we know some employers, some veterinary surgeons, registered veterinary surgeons are employed, and their job is that. So there is an issue, but in future the versions we will reconsider this aspect. But for the time being, the code of conduct does not expect to promote products. And the other important thing I thought of talking with you today, speaking to you, is relationship among veterinarians, because this is becoming a serious problem now. And council has sent warning letters and advices, sometimes summon veterinarians to the council who doesn't have this proper relationship with their own peers and colleagues. Okay, so the collegiality is a very, very vital thing in veterinary practice. So as professionals, we must treat our colleagues, our peers with respect, integrity, and good faith. We should do that. We have obligation to respect, provide integrity and good faith to our colleagues. And also, consultations are allowed, but consent of attending vet is required for consultations. And the referrals, as well as the second opinions, they should be transparent. The client should know what is happening. And we don't talk about much about the fees, but fees has to be fair and reasonable. I would say this is the complaint that we get most frequently: high charges, high cost. And at the end, the patient is not survived. So this is the common, and also they want to claim the losses. So the fees has to be fair and reasonable. And the record keeping was also very, very important. As I told you earlier, we advise you to retain at least 3 to 5 years. It's better if you can have a sort of a database for hospital records, the patient records, either the digital or paper format. It is matter, but it should be easily retrievable and should be available. So this is also becoming another problem that we have seen. Some clinics, some practices, some of our own colleagues does not follow this. So when the council visit, they show us something, but actually they don't have these records. So which is not really good, because that is not doing any good for the practice. And also, the malpractices must be reported. So if you find any of your colleagues, peer, is not competent enough, if they are doing any malpractices, please report to the council. You are very welcome to report to the council. Council will take the appropriate action based on the other legislations, the power vested upon the council. And also we promote lifelong learning, the CPD. Actually, in the original act, the licensing renewal was there. This was repealed in 1994 and started providing lifelong licenses. After this, we see now we see a positive trend of CPDs, at least among these small animal practitioners. Most of those are involved in small animal practice, but the lifelong learning is one of the essential thing for every veterinarians. So if if there's a new act coming, the licensing renewal will be reinstated, and the CPD requirement will be very much needed to renew the licenses in future. And also, so we should try to avoid as much as possible undue influence on the judgment. And particularly these genetic defects I told you earlier should only be corrected for the sake of welfare of the animal, not to conceal the defect. That is not ethical. And also, so the last part is veterinary surgeon and the law. So there are we have to comply with these statutory provisions, particularly when prescribing and dispensing drugs. So we have to comply with the statutory provisions. And we have ethical responsibilities in practice and in research. So welfare is very, very important. In practice, maybe production, maybe in research. That's very important. And also the confidentiality should be maintained. That's another important thing. And the disclosure. They should be disclosed something within the legal limits. If you don't know the limits, you may consult the council. And about the certificates, we expect you to keep the records a minimum 5 years. And sometimes there'll be court cases against practicing vet surgeons. Or maybe there you will be called upon to provide expert evidence. In both cases, when you are called to court, or evidence we provide must be objective and should be professional, because the law is the backbone of our accountability. So whenever you are called upon to provide the evidence, provide professional, objective testimonies in court. And also when you signing certificates, and sometimes we get complaints, some veterinarians, very few, not engage in these condemning animals and writing certificates for money. So these are not, they're not professional conduct. So we need to take action. So I thought of many different topics listed in the code of conduct. I picked these things as important, but everything else is also important. You are free to read it. So let me present you some of the common complaints we have received during the, let's say, for the past 6 years in the council. So when we investigate, it's most of these complaints have lodged because of poor communication. Poor communication on diagnosis, treatment options, prognosis. So this is one of the main. So as a veterinarians, you have to improve on your communication, client handling. And there's nothing to hide. If your diagnosis, your treatment options, prognosis, you can present. And then it's a right of the client to ask you, and you're obliged to provide this information. And the second most one, common one, overcharging. I mean, it's people talk about it all the time, overcharging. So I will not. Oh, sometimes the fee structure is not very clear, and sometimes they say there are fees, hidden fees that you were not informed of. So that's, I think you should try to avoid these things, because we get common complaint about these high charges. And the other one, and delay in services or poor emergency response. So this is a concern. So if you are having a service, if you're having a veterinary care facility, and you should never delay the service. And particularly if case of emergency, you have to act accordingly to save the animal. So there are some cases the client feels that doctors delay actually cause the demise of their pet. So this is not acceptable. And yeah, sometimes vet surgeons complain about misleading advertising or even self-promotion beyond professional limits. These are complaints that we have received. And another thing is inadequate pain management or delayed euthanasia. Sometimes some vet surgeons refuse, but rather than refusing, you maybe go referral or something because it is the last resort. We don't recommend to put animal into sleep. It's the last resort we have. So if it is the case, we should take the necessary action to prevent suffering or alleviate suffering, pain. Because we are on oath. And also another one, and restraint, poor restraints. We get cases. So animal was not restrained properly. Animal was, since it was not the patient was not respond properly, it developed hypothermia, the heat stroke, and ultimately succumb to death. So these are some of the comments we receive. Animal may be not cooperative, very aggressive, but with the available resources, try to handle the animal, or try to get the support from the clients. So these are some of the complaints we have received uh, to the council. And also sometimes performing unnecessary procedures to increase the cost, and even without proper justification for animal welfare. So these, you should do what is adequate and what is required. And yes, as I told you earlier, disputes among veterinarians over referrals, fees, case management, and this is a serious problem actually. So we expect no veterinarians to criticize your colleagues' treatment options, treatment plans, because we practice evidence-based medicine. We expect all of our colleagues to practice evidence-based medicine. So that is based on their judgment, they do it. There may be some competence, lack of competence. If you detect it, you can talk to the veterinarian and try to correct it, or else you can complain to the council. But if you say, like, if you had bought the dog to me yesterday, I definitely could have saved this. And he has given this drug that caused the death of this animal. I mean, these things shouldn't be doing. So these lead to disputes among veterinarians. So council doesn't expect this kind of behavior. Yeah, for your standards, you might feel a certain veterinarian is not skillful, not competent in handling animal. Maybe that their diagnosis is wrong, but you can talk, educate them, or you can complain to us. But don't tarnish the image of your colleague, another professional veterinarians in front of the clients. Don't do that, please. And the other thing is failure to maintain proper records. Sometimes we have seen no proper records at all, but there are some very good practices with the database and everything, and with quick retrieval. So they are really good, but some of them are eligible, some of them are incomplete. There are missing information when we ask. Uh, the patient doesn't know, the client doesn't know, and, and the doctor doesn't know, and the office assistant doesn't know where the records. That's another concern. So maintaining record is one of the important thing. Some of the complaints we received are actually because of lack of records. And allegations of malpractices, dishonesty, or unethical behavior. So this is again we receive this from even some of the vets, even some of the clients talk about unethical behaviors, dishonesty, and malpractices. Operating an unregistered practical premises. Some actually complained to us and asked whether this is a registered veterinary practice. Yeah. So it is beyond the scope of Veterinary Practitioners Act, but these are the complaints people ask. Because when the general public suspect the attending veterinarian is not competent, so they will look, find out, and even after the displaying your council registration certificate, if they think that it's impersonating or doing illegal practice, they send this information to the council. And this is another one, improper prescription of or dispensing of drugs. It's not limited to these anesthetics and that can be used as substance abuses. But we got a complaint, I can share that one. So there was one complaint from a medical doctor who went to a practitioner, and the practitioner, without knowing that the client is a medical doctor, uh, asked the client to give Arista for some skin condition. And this client have asked, are you practicing Western medicine? And how do you justify giving Arista to this for this particular condition? Because the client is educated, client is a medical practitioner. So this, I mean, that tarnishes the practice and the reputation of this noble profession. These things should not be doing. I mean, if there are trials, if there are evidence of using herbal products, it's okay. But you should be able to defend it. Why you recommend it? If a question, one or two question asked, if the client is educated enough, then the whole story is the end. And also, now this is a very frequent complaint that directed at the council. Council is not taking any action for people involved in illegal practice, unqualified people illegal involved in veterinary practice. Yeah, there are many instances we have received complaints from veterinary surgeons, sometimes the provincial directors, even general public, even police direct sometimes these kind of things. Yeah, so that's a bad thing is sometimes we also inadvertently, or I don't know whether it is purposefully, involved in these kind of activities. We have received complaints where spouse is pretend to be the vet surgeon when the husband or wife is out. That should not be happening. We license duly qualified veterinary surgeons who has completed the internship, graduated from the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine or maybe even foreign countries with the minimum standard that the council expect. And how can a spouse represent or pretend to be the veterinary surgeon? That is not. And even some practices, we have received complaints, they employ people and they act as their veterinary surgeons, which is not correct. You should not, you should never employ it. If you want to employ a licensed veterinarian. Because the council will provide license. Even for internships, we are providing a provisional license to work under supervision. So these are the issues we have. So some of the complaints that I actually wanted to share with you. Yeah, employees pretend to be vets in clinics. This impersonations, illegal practice is a common issue, and council has sometimes. So only thing is there's a fine which is very low considering the today's fines in the other cases because the act has not been revised. But that is we have to file a case in a court of law, and the magistrate should judge the person has engaged in illegal law, unqualified person. But if you look at the council's composition, the capacity, council doesn't have that. We don't have a legal officer. We don't have sufficient funding to initiate a legal case, court case. But we have sent, whenever we are informed, we have sent the warning letters. You are doing a malpractice based on this act, this particular process, depending on the evidence provided to council. We have acted, but putting them in jail or a fining them is, we are not empowered. Council cannot do that. That is the magistrate court that can do. So we can file a police case if the police is cooperative, and they will take it forward and then council intervene and provide evidence. But other than that, with the current legal framework we have, as well as the capacity, the council cannot do much. This is a problem. I think that's why we need a new council act to address all these issues. So these are some of the common complaints that I wanted to share with you all. And before winding up, let me very briefly talk to you the limitations we have. So we have outdated provisions. I'm sure you all agree with me. And also we have limited capacity to regulatory inspections. And there are enforcement challenges. And we also feel that ethical training is inadequate. That's thing that the faculty of veterinary medicine need to address in the next revision. And the CPD opportunities for some disciplines, I won't generalize this one. Now there are plenty of CPD opportunities for some disciplines, but there are very few for some. And then we are not aligned with the international standards. So that's because our act is not revised for the last 32 years, to be honest. And the limitations, and there's a deficit of public awareness, and that's a very important thing. The council probably will take some action in future to create a adequate awareness about what a veterinary surgeon and how to distinguish between a quack and a veterinary surgeon. So there are gaps, but these gaps are important. We know our gaps, and these gaps show why reforms are urgently required. And also, before winding up, I'll talk about future directions. So the way forward is very clear. So the legislative reforms for modern practice is required. So should have veterinary surgeons, veterinary specialists, maybe para-veterinarians, different categories. So we should get them on board to regulate them properly. Those who are not on board are illegal, definitely. So we have more powers, more fines, detection methods. And also we have to think about these training, CPDs, licensing renewals, and in case of having maybe if there are another vet faculty coming out, common examination, internship regulations. Likewise, we have different things, strengthening ethics training in curricular CPD, digital regulations, and collaboration with WOHA and other bodies, public engagement in veterinary ethics, basically, and transparent discipline process. So these are the things that council is currently working on. So yeah, that's what basically I was going to discuss with you all, colleagues. Veterinary medicine is a noble profession. To conclude, our code of conduct is not just a set of rules. It is a reflection of our own values and our responsibility to animals and the society at large. Law, ethics, professional responsibility are the pillars of veterinary professionalism. Let us uphold them collectively with pride, integrity, and compassion. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Professor Sampath Logalapati, and I think you summarize main components of the Act, then the Gazette regulations, and also went through the Code of Conduct, which is published and the vets can go through. And although he has summarized everything in brief, there may be questions the audience want to ask. Then now the floor is open for questions, and anyone, those who want to directly ask the question from Professor Golapati, you can switch on your mic and ask the question. Um, until someone come up,
Yes,
I'll get one question to ask from Professor. Then, if there are, veterinary nurses practicing in hospitals and clinics, how that the recruitments or we have seen that publishing advertisements recruiting veterinary nurses, veterinary assistants like that. So I know that there are no regulations under the current act. Uh, there's no power to regulate those things. But at the same time, we have seen that we already complain that some have done surgeries, some have done OHG surgeries on dogs, so many done. Like that, we have seen complaints here and there in these social media groups and WhatsApp groups. So, what can you tell to these veterinary surgeons? What type of skills they can transfer to
Yeah,
the
this
nurses or the assistants, or what they should not do? Can we comment on that,
yeah,
Professor?
when we incorporate them as paraveterinary professionals and we register them, so there is a certain level of training that we expect, the competency that they do, and there are tasks they can perform and tasks they cannot perform. So that distinction will be very clearly made in the proposed act. And I don't think if somebody registered as veterinary nurse goes beyond, one thing is their training will not allow them to go beyond that unless do their own self or professional development programs, CPDs, improvements. But if they are registered as veterinary nurse, they are veterinary nurses. They will never become veterinary surgeon. If they do something that should not be doing, council can take actions. So
What the
that's how the
council,
medical,
sorry,
yeah.
yes. Yeah, what the council take the action on the vets, those who train non-vets on skills that should be with the vets.
Okay, according to the current act, uh, we have not restricted training anybody by vets. And current act doesn't talk about veterinary nurses, but I'm talking about if the future act incorporate paramedical professionals. I think that was a recommendation from the previous gap analysis done by the WOHA. So that's a requirement of the country to improve the overall veterinary service in the country. So therefore, if we are going in that direction, I think the regulation, bringing them on board is the best way to regulate. So there's no other way. But for the veterinary surgeons training them, but since there is no such restriction as of now, we cannot take any action. But it's again about the morals and ethics of the surgeon. Maybe they are training for their own benefits in the clinic. Or but if they train them, and but if they train only the interventions that has to be performed or is expected to be performed by the vet nurses, it's no problem because nurses need to be trained. Veterinary care assistant need to be trained. The training institute has to be there. They should be accredited. There should be minimum standard for enrollment and the level of training, volume of learning that has to be defined. So council need to work with maybe vocational training institutes for training them. So I think if we properly train them, if there is a curriculum, if we know the level of competencies that they can do, I don't think that they will go beyond that because they have a license, they have obligations, they cannot do it. So with medical nurses, they are not going to perform anything, right? So they are regulated. But
Right.
now we cannot regulate because they are not on board. We cannot do anything.
Yeah,
Yes.
man. Dr. Disnako actually, I mean, Dr. Nandika,
Yes.
may actually to add something for that. In that Pet Expo exhibition, there was a, initiative of introducing this paraveterinary, course from the faculty. Professor Nayana gave a good lecture for this, for this all paraveterinary, intended people there. I also was there, and she got the input from this England, UK paraveterinary courses code of ethics and everything, and she explained nicely there what they can do and what they cannot do, like
Yeah.
so they are clearly mentioned is there. I mean, they cannot perform these things, and diagnosis they can't perform. They can't perform surgeries, and only they can help. And but they can monitor the anesthesia, those kind of stuff, preparation of instruments, like that. There are. I mean, but I mean, she explained nicely, and I mean, it was clearly demarcated. I mean, so in that way, as Professor Lokwalapalli said, we can just regulate them clearly in the course also as well, if they on board, if they get them in on board after giving them the course. I think it's a good initiative from the faculty. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Andika. And there's one question in the chat box raised by Dr. Janit. Dr. Janit, would you like to raise the question uh, directly, or should I read it? His question is about fees. He's asking whether the fair charging for surgery in three different phases. For a pyometra surgery, one place charges 75,000, other one 60,000, and other place 12,000, so on. And what's the solution for this kind of actions? So, what would be the answer, Professor?
Oh, it's a difficult question to answer, Dr. Janit, because we have we have specifically mentioned about the fees in the code of conduct, but we have limited it should be fair and reasonable, because uh, the same intervention someone could do it with low input, with high risk. Some might do it with appropriate care, appropriate facilities, uh, with a fairly good outcome. Some might do the best possible intervention with all available facilities that can provide ensuring the 100% recovery of the patient. So when we have these kind of situations, I don't think any statutory body or something, statutory body or regulator can prescribe this is the fee for this, because it's not only depend on the facilities provided, the post-surgical care provided, or the pre-surgical preparation provided to the patient. It is the expertise they have hired. They may be hiring an anesthetist separately. They may be hiring more assistants. So depending on the level of care provided, and if the recovery and the cure of the patient is ensured uh, with the facilities they provide, council will not make a judgment on the cost.
All right, thank you, Professor. Meantime, as we have noticed, there's a government decision to control the prices over the lab test.
That's
There
right.
can
Yeah.
be some control over the prices of charges on patients as well. Sometimes we may not be able to judge this one. At present, anyhow, it seems as Professor explained, there is a big difference between the service.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I
Any
think
questions?
for
Yes.
that, Dr. Vishnu, we probably need hospital standardizations. So if we have these different levels of healthcare facilities, veterinary facilities, probably then we can have certain bands like, okay, this level, this level, this level. So we may be able to come up with the formula like the government prescribing now for the lab test. We may be able to, yes. But again, as I explained to you earlier, it depends on the facilities provided, expertise provided, and then the chance of not having complications after the intervention.
And Professor, I also have another question. Actually, I mean, this act is it empowered to give? I mean, yes. Come. Yeah. Can I go ahead? Yeah.
Yes, Dr. Erandika, yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, is this act empowered to give punishments or fines for the people? Or I mean, or when we are getting a complaint against someone, what do we do? We just refer to the legal bodies in the country, or just we are we empowered to give any
No,
kind of a punishment? Is it
we are not empowered. The council
okay?
can do the role of the police. So council
Yeah.
can make a complaint to the police.
Okay.
Based on the investigation, then the police will have their own inquiry and they will take the case forward, file file a
Okay.
case in the court, and then the magistrate will decide the punishment and fine. That's the
Yeah.
process.
So if we can, I mean, if you want to maybe, I mean, to continue these cases, I mean, maybe we have to hire some lawyers
Yeah,
sometimes.
definitely council need
So,
a legal officer.
so how we are going to, I mean, tackle with those kind of situations? I mean, we have to have funds for those kind of I mean, then who is going to bear those funds? Are there
Yeah, this
yeah, any setups for that in the council? Is it?
no, actually now these funds are limited because it's coming from the registration and maybe good standing letters we produce, and likewise with the services provided to the members, the council gets some funding. That's and other than that, I think we get a little contribution from the DAPH, maybe 200,000 or something. I'm not very sure of the amount, but we get some contribution. But there's no separate budget heading. So the one reason is if we are not self-sustaining is the licensing is renewal is not required. But whereas the medical council self-sustain because there's a regular income generation. So when we draft the new act, we will consider all of these things. But there are different models in different countries. Like the regulatory body in India, most of South Asian countries is a government institute. The registrar and the office workers, including the legal officer, is a government servant. But whereas in Sri Lanka, it is not the case. Only the council is elected among the registered practitioners in India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, likewise. But in other countries, it is totally different. It's a statutory body, independent one from the government interventions as well as government funding. So we don't get a budget subheading. So we will look into that. But if the licensing renewal recommences, the finances won't be that bad. So we will be able to provide. We would be able to take forward court cases as well as provide some legal aid for veterinarians who are in trouble also, because now there will be court cases again, which uh, with the complaints we received, very likely that there will be court cases against some of our own colleagues.
Yeah. Sambasa, Sugat here.
Yes, okay.
Yeah. I saw in the presentation, if some doctor is not attending for an emergency, if that client complain to the council, what can we do?
So whatever the complaints comes, Dr. Sugat, we actually appoint a committee. Council has a described process. So either we appoint 3 or 5 member committee depending on the complaint. So there may be one member if it is a 3 member committee from the council and two outside experts relevant to that particular case. And they are working in voluntary basis. Actually, I must appreciate the service rendered by these the inquiry board members. So they are doing great service. So they will, based on the evidence provided to them by the complainants, they inquire. So we most of the time we do a remote virtual meetings, but sometimes we visit the site. But it again depend on the evidence provided to the committee. So they investigate, provide the report to the council. Based on the investigation report, council decide what sort of action to be taken. So that is the process that we follow, Dr. Sugat. So it's not this particular case. For any case, it could be a 3 member, 5 member committee, depending on the nature of the case. So more outside members, experts who are conversant about the area. So it depends on the nature of the complaint. We have pool of volunteers. So we entrust them to do an impartial inquiry and report back to the council. That's totally voluntary basis.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thing is, I saw in animal, yesterday or day before yesterday, so acting, the Ayurvedic doctor also can practice veterinary treatment for animals.
Uh, Dr. Sugat, according to the legislation in Sri Lanka, Ayurvedic Medical Council Act, they cannot practice. So they license Ayurvedic doctors, Ayurvedic dentist, and Ayurvedic pharmacist. So, but we have heard, and some Ayurvedic doctors have told, so those who have done traditional veterinary medicine, Ayurvedic veterinary medicine from generation to generations, so they keep on practice. But to my knowledge, to date, they have not issued a single license for Ayurvedic veterinary medical doctor. So technically, there are no registered Ayurvedic veterinary medical doctors, according to my knowledge. But I will again check. But this is the status as far as I can tell you.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sir, Dushandan, I have a question.
Yes, Shantan.
Sir, do we update our postgraduate degrees by the council? Because I
Yes,
have
yes.
seen
You can,
published.
yes. You can, yes.
So
Uh,
normally, even the postal address and everything, sir, in 2001 or 2, I have sent, but the letters are not sent to the updated postal address. So again, I sent it very recently.
okay, right.
So how it is happening, sir?
So I don't know why it happens. I will double check about this particular entry. So usually when the council receive an update about the change of address qualification, we incorporate it into our database. So because of some reason, it probably apparently have not been updated. But according to the law, with every batch of registered new veterinary surgeons, the gazette notification should be provided, but it has not happened in a regular way. So the last gazette was published in 2024. So I think that it's updated only up to the batches that graduate uh, up in I think it's up to 2022. Yeah, so after that, so there's a new gazette notification will come soon. That will include the batches graduated in 23, 24, 25, and probably we might not have the batches starting internship soon. So we'll include that, Dr. Dushantan. It should be there, but we will not take these certificate courses, PG certificate courses, but we talk about master degrees, MPhils, PhDs, or the SLQF level 9, 10, sorry, yeah, 9, 10, and above. So those kind of qualifications we can include there. Definitely we will include it. Did you send it to registrar's email address? Or?
Yes, sir. Not I send it by post in that time, sir.
Okay, is it registered post?
Yes, yes, it's the
Yeah,
registered
yeah,
post.
I'll check that, Prashantan. We'll do the needful.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thanks, sir.
And I have one last question, Professor. Actually, so recently we just pushed out these, ballot papers among our all, veterinarians. In those ballot papers, only the names we have. I mean, so we can't remember some personal, by name. I mean, is there any regulatory thing or in the constitution not to send their photographs with this? Or I mean, only the names being sent. I mean, can't we send I mean, on actually a small photograph of a person who is applying for this council? Like, is there any regulatory thing in the constitution? Is it?
Actually, there are two regulations gazetted under the Council Act, under the Veterinary Surgeons and Practitioners Act, about how to conduct this council election. But it has not specified, and there was even electronic voting system proposed to be implemented for this one by some of our own colleagues, but it specifically say you have to do the paperwork, postal, get the ballot papers. It specifies, but it's very outdated. I totally agree with you. The current ballot paper, it doesn't justice to the candidates. I am 100% in agreement with you, but we are working with the provisions available. The regulations need to be changed. Probably with the new act, those things will be rectified. But it doesn't prohibit any member within limits again do promotion, but council website can publish only the names of the candidates. So that's the only thing, and this was discussed in length at the council meeting, and it was proposed. Actually get a photograph from the members by the council, and then to upload a passport size photograph, so that the the voters would know whom the candidates they are going to vote. But unfortunately, the current regulation doesn't permit these kind of things. So there's a resistance came from the council, within the council. So we have to take a decision on that. So that's what happened actually. But I know it's unfair by the candidates.
Thank you, Prof. Yes, thanks.
Dr. Janit, you want to ask something? You raising hand?
Dr.
Dr.
Janis
Janet,
left. Yeah. Dr. Janis left.
Okay.
is it maybe before? Any more questions you want to ask from the Professor Sampath?
Hello.
Yes,
Hello.
Dr. Janet, yes.
Yeah, I have raised my hand, but I may not have noticed that. Ask a question to Professor Lokugalapati. Can business ethics surpass the professional ethics? Because now we see a lot of banners, posters, as you said, signboards and everything, and even the social media. But I had some sort of not an argument with a senior colleague sometime back regarding the size of the notice board and stuff. Now, what he had, the idea what he had was, if you are doing a business, then not necessarily to adhere to the guidelines stipulated by the council, like, or are you going to amend these stuff?
Yes, that's why I said we have to consider the business ethics and professional ethics, but they're not same.
Should we adhere to the same old
No.
regulations, or?
Well, yeah, because we understand that like not this name board, some which are employed by the private sector to promote their products. So if we restrict them doing that, so it's the job they are employed for. So that we cannot do it. So, but according to the current code of conduct, council allows one signboard uh, with the name of the clinics. It might carry a logo of a clinic if there is any brand or something that can be there, and about the consultation hours and the contact details. But we don't expect any animal feed things to be displayed in the name board. No, council doesn't with the current.
Okay. Thank you.
I saw Dr. Eranda was raising hand. Is he there?
Yes, actually, like this is regarding the signboards. Yeah, I mean, Professor Sampath explained it because there are two different. One is about your information, professional information, that you need to have a specific small signage for that. And the rest of it, the other signboards, they are basically uh, uh, it's a matter of how you run your business. Yeah.
Okay. If there are any more questions,
Yeah, and actually, I mean, to that, I have seen some boards that the companies they sponsor these clinic boards. At that occasion, they just put their logos. Other than for the clinic logo, they put their own brand logos. The company. I mean, there's maybe around we'll see dog food something like that, or maybe some of the brands of a company. So is it not? I mean, regulated under this constitution, Professor, actually, or is it? Is it I mean, it is a prohibited thing, is it?
Yeah, with the existing law, it is not allowed. Yeah.
Okay.
all right. If we don't have any more questions, I think we can wind up now. Professor Sampath, I think with the new regulation gazetted recently on the infamous conduct, there may be a lot of complaints coming
Yes.
up
Yeah.
in the time to come. And I would like to request from you to give a take-home message to the colleagues here. And this will be recorded as well, and so others can later watch this video. And would you like to give a kind of take-home message to all our vets?
Yeah. The take-home message is simple. Stick to the code of conduct stipulated by the council. Don't deviate from them because we are responsible. We have a contract, as I explained you at the beginning, a contract with the general public. So that contract depends on the law, ethics, and the professional responsibility. So how we behave. So please don't deviate from the professional conduct, code of conduct, code ethics. So if you stick to this ethics, that will promote your practice competency and even your reputation. Mm. So that's the request from the Veterinary Council of Sri Lanka. But together we will work for a better legislation for future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sampath Lugalapatti, spending time more than 1.5 hours in this night today, educating our colleagues and uh, letting them know what we're doing, the council and the code of conduct and the regulations which has come forward recently. So with that, we're going to conclude the today's session. I would like to uh, hand over the mic to the SLVA, either the secretary or the president, for the vote of thank. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Disnaka. And it's my great pleasure to deliver a vote of thanks. First of all, thank you, Professor Lokugalapati, for accepting our invitation and conducting a wonderful presentation. I think you cleared most of the issues that the most vets had and opened our eyes on these legal aspects. Thank you very much for that. And also Dr. Lakshika and Dr. Sugat, the president, for coordinating and organizing this very important webinar. And also Dr. Sunet Disnaka for wonderfully conducting this, moderating this SLVA with Connect webinar. Thank you very much for that. And also the participants, really happy to see this, the gathering, those who really want to know the legal aspects of the profession and how to become responsible. So in that case, I think I'm really grateful for those who are attending the our webinar series, and thank you very much not only for this, your presence continuously motivate us to do these presentations in different angles, not only on clinical practices, but also the areas that we need to improve, like our ethical conduct and also adhering to the legal background of the country. So thank you all. Thank you, Professor Lokugalapati, for Sampath Lokugalapati, again for your your time and wonderful presentation. Thank you very much, and I wish everyone a very happy good night. Good night.
Thank you. Good
Thank
night.
you.
And a good weekend now.
Actually, that's what I want to say. Very happy Sunday.
Yes. Okay. Good night.
Okay, bye. Good night.